Stuart, how's the squad looking after Saturday's game?
No, we were fine after the game. No fresh injuries following the game. I think we had a session yesterday and we've had one drop out since then. So Tom Sparrow looks as if he'll be a doubt for tomorrow. I know he didn't start the game, but he looks as if he'll miss out tomorrow. Unfortunately, it doesn't look anything too serious, but that's the only kind of fresh injury concern we've got. And on top of that, we've got the likes of Liam Gordon, who didn't get any game time, building up back from having a bit of tightness in his groin. So one out, one in, essentially. Steve said no, miss out again. He had just a small procedure that was planned long term off the back of an injury sustained a few years ago, more cosmetic than anything, but he'll miss out on Tuesday as well.
Positives then to take into tomorrow night's game?
Yeah, I think I said it after the game. I think it was the intention was always to win the game, to try and get your first 3 points in this group. Scored a couple of goals in there, a couple for set plays, one good goal from open play, hit the woodwork a number of times, I think maybe 3 times, a couple of saves from their goalie. So I think the message for me was we want to be that little bit more clinical when those chances come along. I did say, and I'll say it again, that Edinburgh I thought were really well organised and made it difficult for us. But I think Tuesday's game becomes a totally different test. Obviously playing in the AstroTurf, playing against a team that I've said already that are, I always feel punch above their weight. I think they do very, very well, Montrose. Mixture of good experience and a bit of youth in there, some good energy. So it's going to be a completely different game for us on Tuesday. And as such, I think our levels need to go up as well. So as much as we're happy enough with the game on Saturday, I think it's always in that knowledge that as every game goes, it becomes a bigger test because other teams are starting to get another 90 minutes into their season and their levels will start to increase as well.
Am I right in saying you mentioned on Saturday after the game that Paul McGinn is going to be the club captain for this season? I'll just ask you about why you've decided Paul and what he offers in that role. Yeah,
I think when you're over 500 games into your career, I think that's the obvious one. And I think one of the things I'd actually said to the group was, and Stephen O'Donnell and Paul McGinn, captain and vice captain, you've well over 1,000 games of football. That for me is an example to any young player. There's different ways to be a captain and a leader. Fortunately, I was always kind of captain at most clubs and most teams I played with, and I always enjoyed that responsibility. But I think when you look from afar, there's different ways and different methods of doing it. Liam Kelly very much done it as a real vocal leader. Paul is a voice and a big influence in our dressing room. But I almost think sometimes it's you look at that history of how many games you've played, how you've done it, the consistency, the standards that Paul drives every single day, and I think that you have to have some sort of affinity with the group, which Paul absolutely has as well, be it young or old in our dressing room, and that's a big one for me. I just don't feel that a captain can just be in name. I think you have to have some serious influence. I think Paul does that on the pitch, the same way Liam did last season and for several seasons for Motherwell. But I think the one thing that Liam always done was he had a big influence off the pitch in the dressing room and how he ran a dressing room with the support of others round about him. And I'm pretty certain that Paul will do that in a slightly different way, but I'm certain he'll do that to equal measures.
Are you pleased to see Theo get some game time in the third place playoff?
Yeah, I was especially happy with one of the clips I seen yesterday. I had a wee look at some of his stuff, running down the right channel and sort of ragdolling one of the Uruguayan centre backs, and that little bit for me, one, seeing him getting on the pitch, but seeing him using that pace, that power, a wee bit more aggression that we've been working towards, was positive. But he'll get masses out of that experience. I know sometimes it's regarded a dead rubber, but you're playing against Uruguay in a third and fourth playoff in the Copa America. I don't really think that's a dead rubber. So great experience for him, and I'm sure that he'll be over the moon. I've not spoke to him since the game, but I'm sure he'll be over the moon that they took to the pitch. I think there'll be a little bit of frustration that he'll feel he could have added something to their group, not in a bad way, just that professionalism and that standard that he sets for himself. But without question, he'll come back a better player, and he'll certainly learn from the experiences he's had over the last 4 or 5 weeks or so being away with Canada.
the last couple of days there had been reports linking him with a move to Auxerre. Is there anything in that at all?
We're probably moving to a more advanced stage, is what I'll say. I've seen so many different reports. The guys here at the football club share a lot of information with me, obviously, to make sure that I'm up to speed with the stuff that I don't see on social media and all the different types of things. And the one thing I can absolutely guarantee is that I've not seen one accurate report in terms of the numbers or anything like that. So the taxi driver telling you that it's going to be X, Y and Z and all kinds of money. We are at an advanced stage in terms of Theo moving on. I can absolutely confirm that. I can't give you too much more information, but I don't think the numbers that we are talking about, anybody's been at that level. Nobody's reached the numbers that we're actually speaking about as a football club. Everything's been undershot in any report that I've seen. But we just need to monitor that really over the next 24 hours. He's literally just finished with Canada. There have been a lot of conversations, and I've been really transparent with some of those conversations, some of the bids that have come in that have been turned down by the football club. But I'm now thinking that he's back from back from America, back from international duty, that will start to move over the next 24, 48 hours.
When you're selling this club to players, is Theo going to become the big, not the only one, but one of the big stories in what this platform can do for a player coming in?
I hope so. Yeah, I do it with a lot of different positions, and I really try and profile it to the history of this football club. I think it's so important that I do that. Small one that we use. We're immensely proud of the number 9s that this football club have had long before my time here, and including my time here. Beireth, Van Veen, Theo Bair. It's not a bad portfolio in the last 18 months that we've had at this football club. I mentioned Mika Beireth going for, I think it was €4 million to Sturm Graz the other day, middle of last week. We have to be proud as a football club that we sort of identified that talent, gave him a platform. He scored some goals here, caught the imagination, and sort of kicked on from there. And I know he's Arsenal's player, but he had a really good contribution here. Big Kev as well, he's 29 goals the season before that. And then Theo coming in, getting his 15 goals last season. It's a brilliant selling point for me for any potential striker coming to this football club. But it's fair to say that I've been able to do that with a number of other positions, in those wide positions, wing back areas, midfielders, Blair Spittle going off to Hearts, so I feel that there has been so much player development. But especially in that number 9 position, what we've actually done is we've tried to celebrate it. So we have a bit of montage, we have a bit of video that we use and we send to prospective strikers, and I think that I talk so often about people trying to tell you that they think that there's a plan and there's a way forward. Guys getting in and selling themselves as managers and coaches, and they tell you what the theory is and how they're going to get there and what they can do. And there's absolutely no evidence. So I'm a big one for celebrating the evidence, and I can assure you that evidence that we produce at this football club goes many years back, long before my time of working here, and then we bring that right up to speed in the last 18 months with the strikers that we've used. But I think we can do it in a lot of positions. And what I've tended to find in situations where we're up against other clubs that might have a bit more financial power than us, than what you're actually trying to sell as the career and the pathway to actually getting to the highest level that you possibly can. Maybe not jumping a step, but trying to make sure you go through a process here at this football club where there are guarantees that players have played in that area of the pitch and have been successful, and you can be the next one in the conveyor belt.
When you're speaking about those type of guys like Dim Wells and Ewan Wilson starting at the weekend, and we spoke about maybe some of the young guys going out on loan, but what do players like that need to do to prove they can stay in your plans going into the Premiership season? It's
just consistency, is all it is. So if any of these guys go out on loan, it's not that I don't have a belief in what they're doing just now. The most important thing that can happen to a young player at this stage, these guys are 17, some of them just turning 18. The most important thing that can happen in their career is to play games. It's something I've always been big on, that they have to get minutes. So if that loan opportunity comes about, it would be because I don't feel that they're going to get enough minutes to develop at this stage here. But what I think the minutes elsewhere can do is really propel them and moving forward. And kind of what you need and this has been one of my rants, kind of what you need is not just for them to go into football clubs as stocking fillers. You kind of need a similar mindset to what we've had with Brodie Spencer and Georgie Gent and Mika Biereth and James Furlong and all these different guys that have been in here on loan. The list could continue on top of that. What you need is somebody to show a wee bit of faith in them, and if it's a first loan, what you're going to get is mistakes, what you're going to get is errors, you'll get inconsistencies, but you need somebody to trust you and keep putting you out on that pitch, and that's the only way that you start to get across that hurdle. And I must admit that the loan system's been a little bit frustrating for me in Scotland, in that sometimes we just bring players in just to be an added number on your bench. What I would love is, sometimes the way that we profile players, that we know they're coming in to start, we know they're coming in to give their particular qualities. You try and do your homework, you try and find out a wee bit about them. So again, I've tried to take that another step this summer by providing as much footage as we possibly can with some of our young players, so that managers that are looking to bring in players are actually seeing what they're about, seeing what they do and how that can actually fit into their team, as opposed get there, realise it's not going to quite work out. But the most important thing I have to say on it as well is that it's not a criticism of other managers. The individual, the player is the most important person, because as I say, and probably the last words that come out my mouth when they go out on loan is that if you're the best player in training every week and every opportunity you get, you're the best player, then you'll play. The manager will always play you if your level's above everyone else. So the responsibility comes down to the player, but for me I need to try and get the right fit for some of these guys, but for some of them the right fit will also be here, and I think we've had a lot of positivity with some of the performances so far in pre-season.